Welcome back, and for this video we are going to add the functionality to take a screenshot of the target machine and send it back to our server. So the check for that will be simply if our CMD variable is exactly equal to the screenshot string. So else if CMD is equal to screenshot, and if the condition is true, then we shall proceed to take a screenshot and send back a base64 string of the file to our server. Now for that, I'm going to create a new function at the bottom here. So func, I'm going to call it take_screenshot. And it is going to return a string which will be the base64 string of the file. Now for this, we are going to need a third-party package which is available on GitHub. I have opened it here. And so to use it, we will first have to install it, and the command for that is go -get followed by the URL of the package. Now as you can see right here, it is a Go library to capture desktop screens, and it supports multiple displays, that is for Windows, Darwin, Linux, and the rest. So we are going to have this URL. Let me copy it. And I'm going to paste it right here. And before hitting enter, there's something else that we need. Now I am using Go version 1.19, and since Go version 1.11, a feature was introduced that requires us to have initialized a module in our project in order to be able to install other packages. Now I do not want to do that, and so to disable that feature, you're just going to use Go 111 module equals to off space and then our command. Hit enter, and the package should be installed in your project. It's complete, and now we should be able to proceed and import it up here. So let me import it. And once that is done, we can take the example that we have right here. So the first thing that we do with this package is to get the coordinates of the top left and bottom right points of our screen. Once we have that, we will then proceed to capture the rectangle that is bound within these coordinates and then save that to a file. And of course now in our case, we shall send back a base64 string of the file to our server. So let us do that. The first thing will be to get the coordinates. So get display bounds, and it takes a display index which I am going to give as 0. Now the reason I'm giving it as 0 is so that we can use the default monitor. It returns an image.rectangle, and I'm going to store that in a bounds variable. And once we have that, we can now proceed to capture the rectangle within the bounds. So screenshot dot capture rect, and they pass our bounds variable, and we are going, it returns two values, an image and an error. So I'm going to store those in variables. So img, I'm going to ignore the error for now. And once we have already captured that, we can now proceed to write that to a file. Now I have not created a file, so I'm going to do that right now using the OS package. So os.create, and I'm going to call our file wallpaper.png. Now as you can see, this function returns two values, an os.file pointer and an error. So I'm going to store those ones in variables. And after that, we can proceed to save our img variable to the file. Now to do that, we will need another package called the png package, and we import it as follows: image/png, and then down here we shall use the encode function of the png package. So png.encode, and it takes a writer and the image. So our writer will be the file, and the image will be our img variable. Now at the top here, there's something I would like to add. That is using the defer keyword and file.close. Now what this does, the line defer file.close, is that it ensures that the handle to our file which we have opened right here will be automatically closed upon the ending of this function. Let us proceed. Now that we have already saved our image to the file, we can now get a base64 string of its contents. We already have a function for that called file_b64, and so I'm going to call that function right here and supply the name of our file, which is wallpaper.png. And as you can see, it returns a string, which is the base64 string, and I'm going to store that in a variable. And before returning it, there is something else that we are going to do. Now, if the target machine or the user of the target machine by any chance comes across this image, they might suspect some malicious activity on their system. So before sending back the base64 string, we are going to delete this image to cover our tracks. So I'm going to use the remove function of the OS package for that and pass in the name of the file. And once we have done that, we can now return our base64 string. With this function, we simply need to do one more thing in our main function, and that is to send back the response of that function to our server. So send_resp through the connection, the result of the take screenshot function. I can see an error right here, so let me check where that is coming from. Okay, so this should not be here. Let me remove it and bring it up here, like that. And that is it, guys. In the next one, we shall work on persistence, that is to ensure that our malware keeps running even after the machine gets rebooted. I'll see you there.